Hey everyone, welcome back to the Change Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Chris Ashley. And as always, I love spending this time with you. And today we are going to talk about quantum jumping. So quantum jumping is something that might sound a little woo-woo, a little out there, but let me give you some background on it, some explanation, and maybe by the end of this episode, who knows, maybe I'll have changed your mind. So the idea behind quantum jumping is there are always other parallel timelines going on. And it's really cool because spirituality, mystics have been talking about this for a really long time, and quantum physics, which is science, backs it up. So I like to talk about the many worlds theory of quantum physics to just give you a little bit of that scientific background. So the many worlds theory says that there are always these other parallel realities, these other parallel worlds happening in the same time and space as ours. So if you know anything about the double slit experiment in quantum physics, it taught us that matter, electrons, right, appear to us as particles, but really they're waves. And they can actually be a particle and a wave. So when we look at them, when we observe them, when we interact with them, these electrons appear to us as a particle in one time and space only. But before we look at them and observe them, they're in what is called a wave function. So you could think of it like a cloud or a realm of possibilities where these these electrons can appear in any time and space. And I actually talk about this in a little more detail in a previous episode when I talk about quantum physics. But the idea is when you look at it and observe it, the wave function collapses, is what they call it. And the particle appears in just one time and space. Now, quantum physicists say in the many worlds theory that every other place that that particle could have appeared inside that wave function, it actually exists in another parallel reality to our own. So Dolores Cannon talks about this a lot as well. If you don't know who Dolores Cannon is, I've talked about her in a lot of episodes. I talk about her on my book, but she was a past life regression hypnotist. And she learned from her clients when they were under deep, deep hypnosis that there are all of these different timelines. So you could think of it as we are not a whole soul reincarnated here right now. And actually, you're not a whole soul anyway, because your higher self sits on the other side of the veil. And only about 10% of the real you is incarnated right now. Because your true self, your higher self, is made up of so much energy that it couldn't possibly fit inside of this dense little human body, right? The body couldn't handle that much energy. So most of you sits on the other side of the veil, and your higher self is that kind of intermediary between source and you. And it knows all those answers, right? And that's what Dolores Cannon talked to, the higher self. She called it the subconscious because she didn't know what it was at the time. But it's people's higher self. So she could ask them all these questions. They would always know the answer. So what she learned is that we are pieces of a soul. So anytime you have to make a decision, there is the version of you who chooses the decision that you made, and you go on living the timeline that you're on. But there's also another piece of you that branches off, another timeline that branches off. And that other part of you lives out the other decision, the other choice that you didn't make. And so this timeline branches, and they start living on this other trajectory. Now, each time, each version of those versions of you need to make a choice, their timelines branch again. So you can see how this just becomes this huge web, this huge tree, to keep with the metaphor. And so there are other timelines that are very similar to the one that you're actively living. And then there are timelines that are vastly, vastly different, right? So there is a timeline in which you are still with your ex. Maybe if you have children, you don't have children in another timeline. Maybe if you have severe social anxiety, you've overcome it in another timeline. There's another timeline out there, another version of you who has everything you want, that dream job, that perfect partner, that health and vitality you've been working towards. And so the idea of quantum jumping is that you can move seamlessly in between these different timelines. Because quantum physics tells us that if you can think of a possibility, then it exists in the quantum realm. You wouldn't be able to think of it if it didn't exist, if it wasn't a possibility. And so every possibility exists out there in this state of rest, just waiting for you to choose it. But really, it's existing on another timeline. So in order to change timelines, you have to essentially change your mind, right? Just going back to the title of my book. So you do this using the law of attraction. And the law of attraction works the same way as the quantum field, right? Whatever you project out into the world, whatever you get emotional about, the world, the universe, the quantum field sends back to you. So let's take an example. Let's say that you are deep into conspiracy theories and you love reading about how the government is super corrupt and all of these Hollywood elites are actually formed this cabal with the government, and they're using these satanic practices and they're drinking children's blood, or whatever like the latest conspiracy theory on the internet is. Now, if you think those thoughts and you truly believe in that reality, then you call it into existence in your timeline. You stay on the timeline or you move to the timeline where that is a reality, where that is a possibility. And so you experience those things. You live in this world where these horrible things are happening because you've chosen that reality. Now, on the other hand, let's say you choose a reality where you are healthy and you have boundless energy and you feel empowered and the world is kind to you. And when you look out at the world, you see fairness, harmony, beauty, peace. Life is good. People are good to one another. People are good to you. The world is just this amazing place and you feel grateful to be alive in it. Well, if you were before living on that timeline of the conspiracy theories and the satanic children's blood, and then you change your mind wholeheartedly and you change your thoughts and you change your emotions associated with those thoughts and you change your belief system, and you believe that second reality wholeheartedly, you shift timelines, you quantum jump. And suddenly the other world fades out, the new world fades in, the new timeline fades in, and you are suddenly living on that trajectory. You are living on that timeline, and you have quantum jumped to that new timeline. Now, as you can imagine, we're always shifting in and out of timelines because people are changing their minds all the time. They're learning new information. They're hopefully shedding old stale beliefs, so, or maybe they're not. Maybe they are staying stuck, In order to have something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. So you have to take steps towards your dream life. You have to get courage to go outside of your comfort zone. Because on the other side of that is where growth happens. And when that growth happens is when those timelines start to shift. So you have to get out into the world and do different things. Otherwise, you are going to stay on your same timeline. And it's all about checking the thoughts you think, the subconscious programming you have. 95% of your day is run by your subconscious programming. Most of that, by the way, happens before the age of 7. Because when we are 0 to 2 years old, we are in delta brainwave state. When we're 2 to 6 years old, we are in theta brainwave state. And then starting at 7 to 12, we're in alpha brainwave state. So we are highly suggestible. We're just a sponge, literally. When people say kids are a sponge, they are literally a sponge. They are soaking up the opinions of the adults that are around them, cultural conditioning. If someone says, oh, you're so smart, or oh, you're so pretty, or oh, you're not very good at math, or oh, you're stupid, or you're not very good at sports, you're not very athletic, or whatever it is, we soak that up. Children soak that up. So we little kids before the age of 7 are just taking in all this programming about the world. They're hypnotized essentially, right? Theta and alpha are what hypnotists put you in. So they're literally just soaking it all up. And It's the crush who rejected you, the kids who made fun of you on the playground, the people who say you're not good enough. Again, the opinions of the adults you grew up around, and opinions are not based on fact, right? We know that. So all of this becomes your belief system, your subconscious programming, the lens through which you view the world. And 95% of our day, we are running this subconscious programming, even when we're adults. And you can try all you want to change, but you have to undo that programming. You have to unlearn that conditioning, because only 5% of your day you are consciously creating. In order to really change, you have to change your unconscious programming. You have to change your belief systems. You have to change, which stem from that. You have to change your thoughts, which stem from your belief systems. You have to change your emotions, which stem from your thoughts. And all of this can truly help your reality change, because then you can move to those other timelines, because your inner world creates your outer world. You are a conscious creator, and you are constantly creating the world that you see around you, whether you believe it or not. And unfortunately, most people in the world focus on the negative. They focus on what they don't want. They focus on their aches and pains. They focus on drama. They focus on gossiping about neighbors, right? But you can't say you want world peace and be fighting with your coworkers, because whatever you're embodying, whatever you're getting emotional about, is what you're going to manifest into your life, right? The universe works like the Facebook algorithm. Whatever you get emotional about, whatever you get invested in, it thinks, oh, they like that. Send a little more of that their way. And so you just become stuck in the same loop, right? Your thoughts create your feelings create your thoughts. It all stems from your belief system, and you're creating the same future over and over and over again, the same as your past. And you might live for 20 more years, but you're living the same year 20 more times, because nothing is changing. So if you truly want to change, if you truly want to quantum jump, you have to learn to rewrite that programming, right? Rewire your brain and nervous system, release repressed emotions, forgive, right? Let go of grudges. Because when you're living through the lens of anger or hate or resentment or any other low vibration emotions, those are going to seep into your manifesting. You're going to manifest more things that make you feel that way into the world. Can you see my kitty behind me? So, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but once you do that inner work, the path is free and clear, and then you get to create the reality that you want. And all possible realities exist, right? Two people can live next door to each other and seem to live in different realities. But it's like alchemy, right? You're transforming darkness into light, hate into love, resentment into connection, whatever it is, you always have that choice. So the more you focus on the reality you want, the more the reality handed to you by default starts to fade away. And since all possible realities exist, you can call into your world whatever it is you want. But you have to believe it. That's the kicker. It all comes back to your belief system. So you could be president of the United States if you truly believe that you can be president of the United States. So just some food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I love exploring all these topics with you all. It's so fun. If you have requests for different topics, write them in the comments. I love to hear that as well. Again, my name is Chris. You can follow me everywhere. I'm at Change Your Mind with Chris with a K. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and then Change Your Mind with Chris Ashley on Facebook. Please go buy my book. It's called Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. You can get it in paperback, audiobook, ebook. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google Books, Apple Books, Walmart, Books A Million, anywhere you buy your books. If you like it, leave a 5-star review. Write something nice, and please share this, like it, subscribe, help spread all of this good word. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone.